Hi, I'm Daniel Foley, author of 7 Dates with Jesus, Crossing Over into Abundant Life. In this video, I want to talk to you about returning back to new, returning back to your first love, so to speak. So think back to the time with your spouse, significant other, to when you first started to date, when you first started to interact with each other, how fun and exciting and how passionate that was a lot of times. But think back to that time, and a lot of times it can stir up some kind of awesome emotions that can get your relationship back on track. But think about anytime we have something new, you get a new house, you get a new car, you buy a new car, and all of a sudden there's a little bit of trash in the car, you pick it up immediately and you get rid of it. But then over time in our relationships, a new house, new car, the newness sometimes can kind of wear off and we get into these ruts, so to speak, where you're still doing good things, but you're kind of going through the motions, so to speak. So one of the things I teach in the book 7 Days with Jesus is this concept of a yearly cycle. And in the yearly cycle, we're coming up, right as we talk right now, we're in March, and we're coming up onto the spring season here. So the spring season is a time of newness. Everything comes back, it gets regenerated back to new. So I want this spring, every time the spring comes around for years to come, I want you to think of this is a time of newness. It's a time to return to your first love, so to speak. Because Jesus tells the church of Ephesus in the book of Revelations, hey, I know your good works, I know your deeds and your perseverance and how you're holding fast to what you have, but you've forsaken your first love. You walked away from your first love. Remember what it was like maybe when you first got saved and you started to develop your relationship with Jesus, and you're reading and you're studying and you're passionate about it, but eventually you kind of lose that passion, that zeal, and you're going through the motions. You're still doing good things, but you got to get back to that first love, so to speak. So this is a reminder for a lot of things in life. It's a spiritual walk with the Lord. It could be getting back with your relationship with your spouse or with your kids, or keeping your car clean, your house clean, taking care of those things. It could be with your clients. What was it like when you first started with that client? But then things kind of get stale, things kind of get into a rut. How can you stir up those emotions and make it feel like new again? But there's a lot of areas as we get into this springtime, what can you do kind of to start thinking about and stirring up those emotions about what things were like when they were brand new? Okay, especially your walk with God. If you've been walking with the Lord for a long time, start to stir up those emotions every spring. What was it like when I first got saved? Okay, maybe you were on fire for Jesus and it kind of faded off through time, but what was that like? What was it like when you first started dating your spouse? When you first saw your kids for the first time? What was it like with the first clients that you got? Whatever it may be, how can you start to reinvigorate those feelings, stir up those emotions again, to make it like new again, to bring some life into it, okay? Because, springtime, all of a sudden everything comes back to life. As we reinvigorate things, we start to bring things back to life. So that's this week's reminder. Start to think about, how could I stir up those emotions and get back to the way things used to be when I first got started, and so that I don't lose that as I go throughout time. So every spring, it's a reminder to continue to do that every year.